Most seniors choose the wrong dog, and it could quietly shorten their life. Somewhere between cute photos, viral videos, and pet store recommendations, a quiet truth about senior dog ownership got completely lost along the way. Veterinary researchers studying aging populations noticed something unsettling. The specific breed a senior chooses can actually predict their long-term health outcomes years down the line. It's not about size, color, fluffiness, or popularity on social media. It's about something far deeper, hidden inside nervous systems, hormones, and ancient instinct. Every wagging tail, every calm nuzzle, every quiet presence resting beside an aging human is doing something neuroscience is only just beginning to fully understand. There's a reason some seniors light up around their dog, while others feel exhausted, anxious, or overwhelmed by the very same breed. By the end of this, you'll never look at a senior's companion dog the same way again, because the science behind it runs far deeper than anyone expects. Neuroscientists studying human-canine bonds discovered that certain breeds trigger noticeably stronger oxytocin release in older adults compared to others, almost like a biological key fitting a specific lock. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, doesn't just create warm feelings. It physically lowers blood pressure, eases chronic anxiety, and slows down the body's entire stress response system. Evolutionary biologists explain that dogs were never bred randomly or by accident. Certain lineages were deliberately shaped, generation after generation, purely for calm, steady, undemanding companionship. Psychologists studying loneliness among aging populations found that the right dog can reduce feelings of isolation more effectively than many medications currently prescribed for that exact purpose. Cardiologists have linked certain calm-natured breeds to measurable, repeatable drops in cortisol and resting heart rate among elderly owners observed over extended periods of time. Behavioral scientists describe something called emotional contagion in dogs, where a calm breed can actually slow a human's breathing simply through proximity, posture, and shared rhythm. This isn't sentimental guesswork dressed up as science. It's measurable biology, quietly hidden inside fur, posture, eye contact, and the steady rhythm of a dog's breathing beside you. Most people see the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and immediately assume it's simply a pretty lapdog, bred purely for aesthetics and royal portraits. But that softness was never decorative. Centuries of deliberate, selective breeding shaped a nervous system specifically engineered for gentle, constant, undemanding closeness with a single person. Researchers studying canine temperament found Cavaliers display unusually low startle responses, meaning their calm demeanor isn't trained performance, it's hardwired biology running underneath the surface. For a senior, that steady, unwavering presence becomes more than simple comfort. It becomes a living rhythm that physically slows the human heart beating beside it. People often choose the Bichon Frise because it looks cheerful, fluffy, and almost like a stuffed animal that somehow came to life. What most people miss is that this breed was historically developed purely as a companion dog, never bred for working, herding, or guarding purposes at all. That deliberate history shaped a brain wired specifically for human attention, with heightened sensitivity to subtle changes in tone of voice and facial expression. Seniors often describe feeling genuinely read by their Bichon, because in a very real, measurable sense, the dog is constantly reading them back. The pug's wrinkled face and dramatic snorting breath make people assume it's simply a comedic, low-effort companion meant for laughs. But underneath the humor sits a breed engineered, almost literally, to remain physically close to its human companion at nearly all times. Pugs display strong proximity-seeking behavior, a documented trait linked to measurably lower anxiety levels in both the dog and the person sitting nearby. That closeness isn't clinginess or neediness. It's an ancient survival strategy, quietly repurposed into constant, reliable emotional support for someone navigating the realities of aging. Many people assume the Shih Tzu's long coat and small frame make it purely an ornamental, indoor accessory dog with little emotional depth. In reality, this breed was bred inside ancient royal courts, specifically to soothe and accompany humans through long, quiet, sedentary hours of palace life. Behavioral studies show Shih Tzus naturally adapt their energy levels to match their owner's pace, almost mirroring human stillness rather than demanding constant activity. For an aging body that moves more slowly now, that mirrored calm becomes a subtle daily form of emotional synchronization happening quietly between two species. The Maltese is often chosen simply because it's small, white, lightweight, and undeniably photogenic across every social media platform imaginable. But this breed's real history traces back thousands of years to ancient companionship roles, valued purely for emotional closeness rather than function, labor, or sport. Maltese dogs display unusually strong attachment behaviors, often staying within arm's reach of their owner, a trait directly linked to reduced human cortisol levels. That constant nearness isn't dependency disguised as affection. It's an evolved partnership, quietly regulating the nervous system of the very person it has chosen to love. Poodles are usually chosen for their intelligence and hypoallergenic coat, rarely ever for their surprising emotional depth or heightened sensitivity. Yet poodles consistently rank among the most emotionally responsive breeds studied, fully capable of reading subtle shifts in human mood almost instantly and accurately. Cognitive researchers note poodles often adjust their behavior preemptively, almost anticipating emotional distress before it has even fully surfaced in their human companion. For seniors quietly managing anxiety, grief, or isolation, that uncanny anticipation can feel like being deeply understood before a single word is ever spoken aloud. French bulldogs are usually chosen for their comedic personality, snoring habits, and undeniably charming, almost cartoonish facial expressions. What's often overlooked is their unusually strong tendency to remain physically grounded beside one specific person, rather than wandering off or roaming freely. This breed shows remarkably low independence drive, a trait researchers correlate with deeper, far more focused human-animal bonding developed steadily over time. That singular, devoted focus becomes profoundly important for a senior living alone, quietly transforming a small pet into a constant, dependable, emotional anchor. People often dismiss the Pomeranian as simply a yappy, hyperactive small dog, somehow unsuitable for a calm, quiet senior household. But that constant alertness evolved for a clear reason. Pomeranians were historically prized as watchful, emotionally attuned companions, never bred or used as guard dogs. Their heightened awareness means they often detect subtle changes in human stress, posture, or breathing patterns well before any other person in the room notices. For an aging owner living with uncertainty, that vigilance can feel less like irritating noise and more like quiet, devoted, near-constant attentiveness, directed entirely toward them. The Cocker Spaniel's gentle eyes and soft, drooping ears often get reduced to a single lazy word, simply sweet. But beneath that sweetness lies a breed selectively shaped over generations for emotional sensitivity, originally bred to work in close, constant partnership with humans. Cocker Spaniels display strong, sustained eye contact behavior, a documented trait neuroscientists directly link to measurable oxytocin release in both the dog and the owner. That mutual, lingering gaze becomes quite literally a biochemical bridge between two nervous systems, slowly learning how to calm one another down. Most people overlook retired greyhounds entirely, automatically assuming a former racing dog must be restless, twitchy, or impossibly high energy indoors. In truth, greyhounds are famously low energy once retired, frequently described by their owners as gentle giants who happily nap for most of the day. Their surprising calm comes from a unique physiology: short, explosive bursts of intense energy, followed by remarkably long periods of genuine, deep, restorative rest. For a senior craving quiet companionship without demanding daily walks or exercise routines, that paradox becomes an unexpected, deeply restful match for everyday life. The Boston Terrier is often picked purely for its tuxedo-like markings and endlessly expressive, almost human-like face. What goes unnoticed is how deliberately this breed was shaped for indoor companionship, sensitive to mood, tone, and the emotional temperature of a room. Owners frequently report their Boston Terrier seeming to check in on them throughout the day, a behavior linked to attentive monitoring instincts refined over generations. For someone living alone in later life, that quiet checking in becomes a small but meaningful signal that they are never truly unwatched or unaccompanied. The Havanese is rarely anyone's first guess, often overshadowed by flashier, more popular small breeds with bigger online followings. Yet this breed was bred specifically for companionship in close quarters, prized historically for its calm adaptability and gentle, easygoing temperament indoors. Havanese dogs show strong social referencing behavior, frequently glancing toward their owner's face for emotional cues before reacting to anything new or uncertain. That habit of checking in emotionally builds a quiet, ongoing dialogue between dog and human, one built entirely without a single spoken word. The Pekingese is frequently mistaken for a stubborn, aloof little dog, simply too independent to truly bond with anyone closely. Yet, historically, this breed was bred exclusively for palace life, existing solely to provide calm, dignified, constant companionship to its chosen human. Owners often describe a quiet watchfulness in their Pekingese, a steady awareness that feels less like detachment and more like patient, observant loyalty. For a senior who values calm independence paired with deep loyalty, that quiet watchfulness becomes its own distinct, comforting form of closeness. What every one of these breeds genuinely shares isn't appearance, size, or color. It's an ability to emotionally synchronize with a slower, quieter human life. Dogs don't just live alongside seniors, they actively regulate them, breath by breath and heartbeat by heartbeat, without ever needing a single word spoken. Loneliness in older age has been repeatedly linked to measurable physical decline, and a dog's steady presence quietly interrupts that decline a little more each day. Trust builds slowly between human and dog, but once it fully forms, it becomes one of the most stable bonds either species will ever experience. Many seniors describe their dog as the only one who notices when something feels wrong, often before they've even said a single word aloud about it. That kind of attentiveness isn't magic or coincidence. It's instinct, quietly refined over thousands of years of dogs living closely beside vulnerable, aging humans. Each tail wag, each leaned-in head, each quiet sigh resting beside you is a small, almost invisible act of biological devotion most people never consciously notice. Researchers studying companion animals describe this as a feedback loop, where calm in the human produces calm in the dog, which then loops gently back again. Some seniors say their dog seems to know their schedule better than they do, waiting by the door minutes before a usual walk or mealtime arrives. That precision isn't psychic ability, it's pattern recognition refined through devotion, a quiet kind of intelligence built entirely around paying attention to one person. Maybe the real question was never which breed is technically best, but which specific dog truly understands the rhythm of your own particular life. Owning a dog stops being about companionship for simple entertainment and slowly becomes a quiet, daily exchange of mutual emotional regulation between two living beings. You stop seeing yourself as merely an owner and start recognizing yourself as someone genuinely fluent in another species' silent, subtle emotional language. That shift changes everything, because once you truly see it, you can never quite unsee how deeply your own dog has been listening to you all along. Somewhere in your home right now, a dog may be quietly adjusting its energy, its breathing, and its presence, simply to match yours in this exact moment. That isn't coincidence, and it certainly isn't luck. It's evolution's quiet, deliberate gift to aging humans who simply needed someone steady standing beside them. The right breed was never truly about looks, popularity, or trends. It was always about which dog could genuinely hold emotional space for you, day after day. If this changed how you see your own dog, even slightly, stay close, because there is so much more hidden, quietly beneath the surface of that bond.